All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this is a recap of the cross-examination of Mia. There's a lot of videos saying it didn't go well. The video I reacted to, they weren't done yet, but they were saying that the attorney, Diddy's team, was getting very aggressive with the questioning and stuff, and I don't know who else is testifying, but that's what I'm waiting on next, because they got to start getting into more of these, the charges of what he's being accused of. They have to. Again, they building a strong foundation, but, I've been hearing a lot about this jury, so got to see what we ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Good evening, I'm Mike Marzo. As we start another week in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Today included a contentious cross-examination of the woman who worked as a personal assistant to Combs. The defense seeking to chip away at her claim used by showing social media posts filled with flattering descriptions of Combs. In just a minute, we're going to be joined by ABC News legal contributor Bernarda Vilona to dig deeper into everything that unfolded in court. But first up with a recap, here's Darla Miles.
The jury in the Sean Diddy racketeering trial, instructed every day not to discuss the case with each other nor anyone else, seemed to be chatting about something, exchanging glances, some even snickering during the third day of testimony of Combs' former personal assistant testifying under the alias Mia. Defense attorney Brian...
Sorry, I'm just trying to clean my glasses, and what they just said, snickering, I heard that some of them were yawning. You just never know, man. You never know when money and power is involved. Boy. I knew this wasn't gonna be easy, but it's like,
Steele playing a 2013 birthday video she recorded for Combs to the jury. Puff Daddy, the living legend himself, you not only revolutionized the world, you revolutionized my world. Thank you for being one of the biggest inspirations in my life. I love you. Happy birthday. Jurors shown text messages Mia sent to Combs saying, Merry Christmas, I love you, and Happy New Year, always so much love to you. Steele unmercilessly demanding Mia to explain why she sent Combs such loving tributes during a time period she says her former boss was verbally, physically abusive to her. Do you have any recordings of Mr. Combs berating you? Mia telling the court, no, I would not have been able to record it. Did you ever just pull out your phone and record him? Mia saying, absolutely not. Steele then asking, did you ever have any time to write a note to say, hey, Mr. Combs, me? Mia answering no. During a break, when jurors were no longer in the courtroom, Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey telling the court, Mr. Steele...
But I'm just a little confused. Like, who would she tell that to? Who would believe her? And would they go back and tell him? That has to be how she was feeling. This trial is getting wicked, man.
Steele has yelled at this witness. Mr. Steele has been sarcastic with this witness. Mr. Steele is argumentative with this witness. Given the tone, we want to stop the cross-examination of this witness. Her voice cracking with emotion, going on to say, victims in other cases are going to see how victims are treated. Our concern is that if this victim is not protected from further harassment, it will deter other victims in other cases.
Man.
Now, after her third day of testimony, Mia's testimony has concluded in this trial. It will resume tomorrow morning with an employee from the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles.
Our thanks to Jarla Miles for that recap. Let's pick right up where she left off as we're joined by ABC News legal contributor Bernarda Vilona. It's interesting when they made that sort of argument for the judge outside of the jury that the cross-examination was basically just too tough. Is that really a legal argument, or is that just a subjective sort of analysis of the way that the defense was going at the witness?
It's not a legal argument. You have to think that the defense attorney has to argue vigorously for their client. Remember, their their interest and their goal is to represent their client to the fullest. Their concern is not whether I'm going to break this witness that's on the stand or whether I'm hurting her feelings. They got to do what's best for the case, and that's exactly what Brian Steele was doing. Interestingly enough, so Ms. Comey, when she made this argument, it was out of the presence of the jury. At one point when she was making this argument to the judge, I was like, is she about to cry? Like, her voice, like, you could tell she was very emotional when she made that argument. And I have to say, yes, I understand, as a former prosecutor, I was a prosecutor for 16 years. Yes, you do feel for your victims and for your witnesses. I think maybe she's a slightly too attached to these witnesses, and that's why she reacted.
See, that's not good. That's not good at all. Again, I don't know who else is testifying. I mean, they said that the hotel guy, I'm talking about as far as any other victims, and, you know, what is that going to look like for them? You know, because they're going to hear about all this. So, man.
The way she did and making this argument in front of the judge. But hey, in the end, Brian Steele was doing what was best and what was called for in the case. My question would be, if it was a female defense attorney, whether it would have been accepted the same way.
How do you think Mia did as far as a prosecution witness?
I think Mia did an okay job. So you got to think that Mia is a mixed bag. Why do I say that? Mia prepped with the prosecutor 27 times. She met with the prosecutor. That is a crazy amount of time to meet with an attorney to prepare your testimony. But you can tell why. Because she's a person that came to the prosecution as broken, a person that is just now coming under the realization that she was a victim and is a victim, and that she's dealing with trauma. Because you have to think, Mike, it wasn't until 2024 last year that it was the first time, according to her, that she ever told anyone assaulted by Sean Combs. So that was a big revelation, and she's dealing now with the aftermath of being able to accept that. And you can tell at times, because anytime she's ever asked about that on the stand doing direct and doing cross-examination, there's a huge pause, and where she like sinks into her chair, it's almost like she wants to go underneath the witness stand. So that's hard. But in terms of how she did, she gave the prosecution what she needed to in terms of the forced labor, the witness tampering, witness intimidation, and in terms of the coercion of how Sean Combs intimidated her, bringing up what happened that they had and holding that over her head. In terms of the defense, they put all their eggs in one basket, in the sense of they were going right in, knee deep in, having to deal with her social media posts and pretty much calling her a liar, that she made up all of this. Never happened, and that at no point was she berated by Sean Combs.
Saying you had every opportunity to raise a red flag.
Victim blaming. So that may turn off the jury. So we don't know what's in the mind of the juries and how they accepted that, because you're actually victim blaming that she should have called someone for help. She should have called the cops. She should have told someone. Should have told human resources. So we don't know how that's playing out, because remember, you had before her testimony a few witnesses back. You had Dr. Hughes who testified as to the demeanor and how people react when they are victims of such type of behavior.
A lot to analyze there for the jury.
Yes, and she even analyzed herself. She was like, according to my therapist.
She did.
Yes,
right.
And she said it many times. I'm not a psychologist, but according to my therapist, these are the steps that you take.
Perhaps something she learned in those 27 sessions as she was preparing to testify. Let's talk about some of the other testimony that we heard today. We heard from this, what was it, somebody connected with that video from LA, from the horrific assault video of Cassie Ventura. There was somebody who requested immunity to testify. And we've talked about this. Anytime somebody testifies asking for immunity, sort of the red
Ding,
flag.
ding, ding.
What's going on
There's
here?
something good that they have to give. So Eddie Garcia, out of the presence of the jury, was brought in and took the stand. And the prosecution asked Mr. Garcia that if you were to be called to testify, would you exercise your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination? His answer was yes. Did you review an immunity agreement with your attorney? Yes. And at that time, Ms. Comey, I believe it was Ms. Comey, she asked the judge to actually sign the order giving him immunity. So why is this important? Again, when you get immunity, you get a free pass to whatever you're testifying to, with the exception of perjury, if you commit perjury. So the question is, what does Mr. Garcia have to give to the prosecution that is worth so much that you're willing to give this person a free pass for whatever crime that they can be implicated in? I'm delving in that we have the Intercontinental employee. He worked there at Intercontinental Hotel. Looking at the opening statement from the prosecutor, someone was paid $100,000 to get rid of that video. So it's quite possible that this is a security guard that accepted $100,000 from someone on Sean Combs' team to have this videotape disappear. But
I wonder if he's going to name this person. If they're I feel like a lot of people, is waiting for that turn, that one, because it seems like when the prosecutors do their questioning, and you just be like, oh, then the defense cross-examine, and then you're like, damn, it's just, you're waiting, because, at one point, Diddy team, his team had dropped the ball. And now it just seems like they're kind of gaining some momentum as far as the questioning and just making people think more like, well, I don't know if I believe her. You know what I mean? So immunity, got to see what he got to say.
again, we'll find out tomorrow because he'll be the first witness to testify.
So many pieces to this puzzle for the jury. You have big pieces like the Cassie Ventura testimony and the Mia testimony, but you have small pieces too with the person that you were just talking about.
And they all matter.
And they all matter, right? And so then if you're a juror and you've been sitting through this process already, which has already been long and there's more to go, we heard the reporting today from Darla that there's been some chatter from the jury. What do you make of that?
So, Mike, I've been inside of the courtroom, I believe, at least for 95% or 90% of the testimony inside of the main courtroom. So I get to see the faces of the jurors. And Darla actually at times is sitting right next to me. So we're seeing the same thing. So it happens that when the judge does a sidebar, meaning that he's talking to the attorneys on the side of the courtroom and the jurors are still inside of the jury box, the judge plays this white noise so they can't hear and the people in the back can't hear what is it that they are discussing. But while this is happening, it seems like the jurors are communicating with each other. Again, we don't know what they're communicating about. They can be talking about what's for lunch or what they plan on doing over the weekend.
But have you seen something like that?
I have, but you have to think, these people have been together for 3 weeks. I mean, this week marks 4 weeks. So they've gotten to know each other. There's a chemistry there, which is going to make jury deliberations very interesting because they're no longer strangers when they finally get to start talking about the case. But just remember, Mike, there's one thing of caution is that you hope that these jurors are not already talking about the case or about testimony, about evidence that they may have heard, because jurors are not allowed at any point to discuss anything having to deal with the trial with each other until the judge has given them the final jury instructions. Both sides have rested. They got the jury instructions. They got the verdict sheet. And then the judge is like, I now give you permission for all 12 of you to discuss the case. Because if that happens beforehand, you're risking a mistrial. You're risking that a juror or jurors may be taking off of the case and you bring in an alternate. That's if you can savor the remaining jurors. So that's a testy water to walk in. There hasn't been any mention by the prosecution or the defense yet. Again, if it's not on the record, it didn't happen, and neither side has brought up any of those concerns to the judge.
It will be interesting to see if that does play a role here. And just for people at home, 18 people of the
Yes.
jury are now hearing this case, and you're
Yes.
thinking, well, what about 12? Nobody knows who is going to be the actual sitting jury, right? I mean, or I guess, how would you describe that? They don't know if they're going to be part of the final 12?
Yeah,
Is that
so
how that works?
I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but usually it's the first 12 jurors, that were selected. That's going to be
Gotcha.
the sitting jury. The remaining 6 are alternate jurors, and they're in a specific order of alternate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And if something were to happen with one of the first 12, then
That's
they would
correct.
be brought in.
Then they can replace one. So, for example, in a case like this, I'm surprised that no one has called out and said, I'm sick or had an emergency, because that's why you ultimately end up plucking one of the alternates and replacing that person.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Any big headlines that we should expect this week?
Well, to find out when supposedly Jane may be testifying this week. And remember, Jane is victim number 2, and she's one of the major pieces also of this trial. So it's not just Cassie, just how Cassie had a major piece. Jane is the second most important person, because there are 2 counts relating to her in terms of.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to trim out all that she just said. I don't know, man. Like the stuff they're saying with the jury possibly communicating and talking amongst each other. You would hope that they not, but it's likely somebody is talking or saying something. I just feel like right now the prosecution needs something huge to happen. Huge. Because right now, the way it's looking, like it was looking bad for him, but they done got a little momentum now, man. It's you don't know which way this could go as of today. But you know, for me, this is still Monday, so I gotta see, what happens with the guy from the hotel talking. Man, I really don't know. But I just feel like if you haven't been in any of these situations, it's hard to judge people on how they react to being a victim. You know what I mean? Brainwash, gaslighting, manipulation, all that stuff comes into play, you know? So I honestly don't know as of today, but we'll see when more stuff come out. I just want to see what else they have, but they said the defense went in. Like, share, comment below, and stay tuned. Peace out.